All stations, thank you for joining in. This is Control. If people are going to go and write questions on the chat, it's going to be a little bit difficult for me to follow. So what I would be happy to do is if you could follow the chat or someone from the team could follow the chat, so we don't miss any questions. But for the rest of you, don't use the chat. Come on live and ask questions live.
Don't be shy.
Yeah, burst in and ask your question. Hi, everybody. My name is Assaf, Luxembourg. I want to lay the topic in the center, and then I really want to go questions and answers, AMA, Q&A. Anybody has an objection to that? Yes, no, great, moving on. The topic of today is called Don't Miss Your Corona Crisis Opportunity. I believe the team shared the link to the blog post. So those of you who already follow me maybe online, this is great because you don't have to hear things again. Those of you who did not follow me but read the post, still great. The other ones, you're screwed. But not really, because I'm going to speak in headlines, but everything is online. Operator, this is Control. Are we good so far?
Copy. Right. We're good.
Great. So my name is Assaf Luxembourg. My scratch in life is to promote Israel through business. When I was 22 years old, something like 4,000 years ago, I participated in Birthright. I understood I want to do stuff for Israel. It was clear to me that I'm going to be an ambassador. So I wanted to promote Israel and do hasbara, official hasbara. How do you do that? When you're 22 years old, you scratch your head. Well, let's go be a diplomat. Some of my heroes were diplomats. So I thought I'm going to study the profession, get to cadet course, work in the profession, and that's going to be my career. There's a reason why I'm telling you my story this way. So the first thing I did is I nagged Birthright for 6 months that I want to volunteer, I want to help, I want to do whatever. This was back in the day in 2007, I think, until they got tired of this Israeli guy who wants to help, and that's how I got hired. So I literally nagged them until, I guess they wanted to shut me down. And that's how I got to work at the HQ. That's how I started. I wanted to be a diplomat, so obviously I didn't go study biology and physics. I went to study political science and economics. I did that at Hebrew U. And I invested almost all of my 20s working in the right places, making less than half of my friends, but strategically going to the places that are going to get me to be the best ambassador. So never mind the history, but I got to work with nonprofits, with the government itself. I was doing economic hasbara, promoting Israel through business, working for the government when the book Startup Nation came out. That changed a lot of the path for me. I started giving speaking engagements about Startup Nation when half the world landed here to learn the secret from Israel. I didn't want to be Mr. Speaker. I wanted to do it because I thought I'm going to need it for cadets course, to be a diplomat. So the idea was I'm going to get as much flight hours as possible and then apply to cadets course to the flight academy to be a pilot. That was the analogy. And then I turned 30. I don't know if anybody here turned 30. You're all going to turn 30. So when you turn 30, sometimes you realize that you plan and then God laughs and then you cry. And that's what happened to me. I did not become an ambassador. And the last thing I planned is for all of my investment in the work and the stuff that I did, internships, pro bono work, whatever it was, the last thing I thought that it would become a business. I did not want to be an entrepreneur. I did not want an office at WeWork. I did not want to wear t-shirts to go to work. I wanted the suit and the tie. I wanted to work for the government, but that's how I started. So today I do a lot of things. Promoting Israel through business is one of them. Advising and consulting companies is another one. 3 years ago, I went to all of the organizations that you all know, all the people who promote Israel to young professionals, and I told them basically, guys, maybe 15% still care about Startup Nation. Maybe 15% actually want to quit their job and start an app. The young generation that I get to work with all the time, because of what I do, they experience entrepreneurship in a very different way. And for them, entrepreneurship is their career path in a way, not necessarily the company they're going to start. Today, we switch jobs every 2 years. A lot of people feel lost. How do we connect to that? And I started the journey with the new world of work, if you want to call it that way. I do a lot of work with new Olim, with Masa participants, people that are similar to your circles. So I'm very much in the trenches. I developed a certain perspective. So 50% of what I do today is related to help people think like entrepreneurs for their career. And I'm not a coach. I'm not a career researcher. I'm not an HR academic person. The way I see it, I'm not a person that studies the desert. I'm a Bedouin that lives in the desert and helped a lot of other Bedouins. So I know what Bedouins do in the desert. I don't necessarily study, the molecular level of the sand, if that helps the analogy. So that's the wisdom I want to bring for tonight. About a month ago, I wrote a post called Don't Miss Your Corona Crisis Opportunity, which connects a lot of that idea for the here and now. So the worst thing to do right now is to open the presentation called Hacking the New World of Work, which is online, and go through the slides that are online. Or if you want to watch the video, you can do that later. What I want to do is bring that wisdom through the questions and answers. So maybe the one thing I will do is just go through the post briefly. For those of you who haven't read it, just go through the main points, not all of them, to lay the context and then really open this up for questions. So I'm going to go Swiss cheese. There's a lot of holes, which is okay. We're going to fill them up with your Q&A. So I'm going to share my screen.
Yep, okay. You're on.
I want to actually start from the end. So the end is this. A year ago, I published a post called Our Career Exodus Story, which is funny because Passover just happened a few weeks ago. The way I see it in today's world of work, our Exodus story is not that we need to face up Pharaoh and say, let my people go. In today's reality, and that's, I know many of you will probably head nod right now, it's as if Pharaoh kicked us to the desert even if we didn't want to. So many of us, we switch jobs every 2 years. We don't understand why. Is there something wrong with us? Is there something wrong with employers today? What happened really? Why are the rules changing? But a lot of people found themselves Bedouins in the desert, even if they wanted to stay in the land of Goshen. If I speak of the analogy of the Exodus. And connecting to that, what I believe is happening today, COVID-19 basically takes the inevitable and advances it for the here and now. So for many people, things that were supposed to happen gradually over 5 to 10 years will happen much faster in the next year or two. So advancing the inevitable, that's how I see much of what this corona crisis is not even doing. It's going to do once the virus phase will be over and the economic meltdown will really begin. So this post right here connects to that. I just wanted to put that, to start with that. It's in the end of the post, but never mind. So let's go to the beginning. Like many people, you probably lost your job or at least your income for now. You don't even know that you got fired because you're on unpaid leave, but I'll get to that in a minute. The key point is this: realizing that nothing good will happen in the short term is exactly the key to unlock your opportunity for the long term. And I will explain that sentence, and it unfolds a lot of practical tips later on. If, of course, you're willing to take ownership on your career, which most people don't want to do. We want to stay in the matrix. So blah, 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 my entire philosophy, hacking the new world of work, yada, yada, think like a business unit, all online. Number one, breathe. We think that the world melted, but I promise you in 2 years, we will laugh about much of what's going on right now, especially about how some people reacted. In 10 years, you'll forget about this. In 50 years, you will really forget about it, but this will already be because of our age, but never mind. So perspective. Career is not something you achieve next year. Career is the mountain we want to climb until we retire. We don't want to reach the head of the mountain next year, otherwise it's the wrong mountain. So for those of you who were in the army, and I'll get to know you later on through the questions, it's like navigation, not a race. If you ran faster than anybody else, and you bypassed everyone, and you got first, but to the wrong place, you lost. So it's not a race who got promoted before who, it's who got to where they wanted. It's like Gvaot Goral in the Negev, if you know that, it's navigation, not race. So breathe. This is a marathon, this is a long-term journey. Career is long-term. And those of you who know the business unit thinking, it's the same like a vision for a company. It's not something that you should really get next year. Because if you did, that's not the vision. So your career dream is your company's vision, in a way. Number two is so imperative, and so many people fall here. Don't make long-term strategic decisions based on short-term circumstances. So know to separate between short-term decisions, which we need to make, and long-term decisions, which we need to make differently. Again, I'm going to compare your career to a business, and you are the owner of the business. That's the business unit idea, which is all online. If you are the CEO of You Incorporated, you need to know what is the vision for your career, your company. You need to know what do you want to happen in the midterm, in the next 5 years maybe, and you surely do need to react to the reality because you need to sell tomorrow. You need to get a job next month. But you making a decision with regards to your job next month doesn't really impact your long-term career journey. Separate between your career and your job. Your career is not the random sequence of your jobs. The same way that a random set of words is not a sentence. So I'll get to that later on. I'm sure we'll get back to this through the questions, but this explains it here. Get to work. Duh, I'm not gonna get into this, but if you want, my perspective is here. And again, there are many links to other posts that I talk about here. I'm about to finish and open this to Q&A. Start investing in what you want to happen the day after Corona. This is a big, 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 big thing. And it relates to this sentence right here. Realizing that nothing good will happen tomorrow is the key to unlock for good things to happen in 6 months. Meaning, right now, everybody is in limbo. And this is an opportunity. It's an opportunity, for example, to get to decision makers. It's an opportunity to get effective networking. The same people who did not reply to your LinkedIn connection request or your Facebook message or your stupid bot-like email 3 months ago, now there's a higher chance they will because many people sit at home. They are on unpaid leave. But if you come to them and you say, hi, I want to work for you, are you hiring? All you're going to get is delete, ignore. So invest in what you want to happen after Corona, not during Corona, and use the short term to strategize for the long term. Nothing good will happen until September, but I want the good thing in September. Let's go and get it, because today we can't. Or before Corona we couldn't, but today we can. Sorry. So more on that here. Understand where you are unique and valuable. You may really want to be a ballet dancer, but if you suck at it, so you will not be a ballet dancer. So the idea here is, on the one hand, what are my strategic goals? We'll get to that through the questions. But on the other hand, what does the market need from someone like me right now? If I moved from the US to Israel and I have a Teudat Zehut and I speak English, that's fine. But Assaf Luxembourg's English is also fine. But I'm from America. I know American, not just English. I have a cultural advantage. I know how to write the email. I know how to approach people. I know that when they say interesting, let me think about it, it means no. I know all these things because I grew up there in the big empire. This is an asset to employers. It doesn't mean that you have to work in marketing in front of the US, but it's a value that you can bring. So understand where you are unique and valuable. And I want to explain that part later on. I'll come back to it. But on the one hand, what do I want? On the other hand, what does the market need? What can I bring that people need and want? And then collide the two, connect the two. So that's number 5. Now is the time to build relationships the right way, meaning not I'm looking for a job, are you hiring? But a way that promotes a conversation, builds a relationship, builds trust, because you're not asking the VP product for help when you ask them if they're hiring. What you're doing is you're selling to a customer. So I want to talk a little bit about sales and smart sales, which is not buy this for $9.99. So we'll get to that. Build relationships the right way. Make people want to buy you is the best way to sell them. Get to that later on. Empathize to them. They're struggling too. So I'll get to that later on as well. I want to ask a question just to know if I should come back to this or not. So other than the TAMID team that is here right now, how many people here are currently working? Not through the consulting TAMID thing, You have a part-time job, be it a restaurant or you work in a startup or whatever. Please jump in and say aye.
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 Love it. So you're all studying and working. I love this. Great. Guys, let me tell you something. For those of you who work in an organization, not freelancers, and you work in an office, and you think about office politics, when you embrace the thinking that I'm going to suggest to you to embrace, which is think like a business unit, there is no office politics. It's the market. And the market is really changing, meaning the inner workings inside the office, the 5 people company or the 50 or 500 people company or your department, it changes. And there too, as an employee, you should think like a business unit. And then a lot of interesting things can unfold. This I can also testify from my history. So where are the opportunities for those that are sitting at home and will come back to work part-time, full-time, less, more than before? I don't know. But how can I think like an entrepreneur as an employee in the marketing department of this and that company? So I want to come back to that later on. But right now, I said 15 minutes. It's been almost 20. So I'm going to stop here and open this to questions. So feel free to burst in, or I just want to use the opportunity because it's going to be helpful for others as well. Anybody here studies law by any chance? Are you studying law? Please raise your hand or say aye. Shirel, you're studying law. Get out of this webinar right now. All right, I'm kidding. Next time, unmute yourself when you're laughing. I'm going to use a lawyer's example. Imagine you're a lawyer and you're 45 years old and you got tired of all that bull crap at the firm with the partners and Mike Ross and, you know, Harvey Specter and all those idiots, and you're sick of the politics and you want out. You've got your team, you've got your customers, you've got your experience, you've got your reputation. So you say, Pharaoh, let my people go. And you head out to the desert and start your own law firm. Become an independent lawyer together with your partner, and you start a small law firm. Suppose that happens. So from a lawyer, you're now also a businessman or a businesswoman. Are you with me so far? I want to use this analogy. Now you need to sell. Because so far, you were a job doer. Now you need to be a rainmaker or a hunt bringer. So 2 things you could do. You could send an email to everybody. Hi, if you're looking for legal skills, we work with blah, 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 and our experience is blah, 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 and we know the best how to do blah, 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 and me, and us. Here's a PDF with all of our experience in our portfolio. If you need a lawyer for X, Y, and Z, come to us. What will you do with such an email or a LinkedIn message or an ad on Facebook?
Delete.
Delete, of course. Spam. And sure enough, since legal services are in services, we're not selling a product, we're selling services. You'll realize that you need to be more like a doctor. You need to ask questions, understand where is the pain, and you need to come up with the right drug for every specific case. Although the drugs are the same, they're on the shelf, but you're not selling the drugs, you're selling the service. You're selling the relief of the pain using the drug. So you're going to take coffee meetings, you're going to ask questions, you're going to develop a relationship. Maybe you'll do like a 2-hour consulting thing for free just to show them what you're worth. You'll go over an existing document to share your opinion. That's what you would do. What I would suggest you do is the same thing I would suggest the lawyer to do. Who do you want as customers? The top 10 customers. Find them. What is the name of the company? And then what you need to understand is who are the right decision makers over there. Because not everything has to go directly to the CEO. Maybe there's a person that will win by bringing you if you're able to give them a better product for the same money or save them money. So try to understand what is their pain. Try to understand what would they want to have that they don't have now. They will tell you what to sell to them. Again, I want to jump to other questions. A lot of this is online. If you don't find it, LinkedIn me, tweet me, send me an email. I'll get into the specifics, but I want to get as much possible in this webinar. But here's why I share that example with the rest of you. That's what all of you should do as individuals. Because the way I see the new world of work Me and you, Alex, and you, Ari, and Amit, and Shirel, and Grant, and Hewa, and Eli, and Avi, and Ashel, and all of you. You are business units. You are the CEO and owner of You Incorporated. Even if you're an employee and you will be an employee for the rest of your career, you need to think like a business unit. And that's the entire philosophy that I promote, which I mainly want to skip, but it's all online. I advise you to look a little bit into it to really understand what it means to think like a business unit. What does it mean to see my boss as the customer? How do I manage my customer? Not how my boss manages me. This is not the army where she's the commander and I'm the soldier. This is the market. She's the customer and I'm selling her Assaf Incorporated. And when you really go there, a lot of things are happening. And that's where you start seeing where are the opportunities are in the market right now with Corona. That's why I wanted to share that advice and drive the conversation forward. Next question, please.
Hi. So my name's Grant, and I was just wondering what insight you had on startups.
Wait, Greg, where are you from?
I'm from New York. So my question was, I guess, what advice would you have for a startup during this time, like taking it from ground zero to building it into a business? And also, are you available on other media like LinkedIn to further answer this question in detail? That's my second part.
Sure. So first of all, feel free to reach out later on, but I want to give you as much value right now. So hopefully you will not have to reach out later on.
Right.
So I will say this. First of all, there's this thing that we use the word startup in all sorts of occasions. So I started in e-commerce operation. It's a startup. I'm a freelance graphic designer. It's a startup. I'm selling cakes in my neighborhood. We're still a startup. Which is, okay, startup is a phase, but technically, professionally speaking, when we talk about startups, we're talking about companies who develop or innovate a new kind of product which doesn't exist out there. And this takes time before they get to market, which is why it's built on assumptions. It's built on innovation, research, and development. And this is why those companies have to fundraise before they sell. There are many other kinds of companies that can sell from day one.
Mm-hmm.
Super legitimate to call them startups, but technically speaking, when, in high tech, when you use the word startup, so these are the companies that don't grow linearly, meaning we don't sell, open another store, sell more, open another store, grow nationwide. We develop, launch, get customers, develop, launch. That's stairs thing. So just to set the language straight. So you say a startup, I'm going to assume that you're talking about technology-based startup, meaning you're developing an innovative solution.
Yes.
Great. The next thing I would need to know, a startup could be 2 people at WeWork here next to me, and this could be 100 people who sit in Herzliya talk over there. So what matters is, do you live off of sales or you live off of fundraising?
Well, because the business is so new, fundraising, but we hope to one day live off of sales.
Of course. But for now, still fundraising, which is like most startups.
Yeah.
Great. And I'm going to take it that you already fundraised a little bit, so it's not pre-seed. It's a little bit more.
We haven't fundraised anything yet.
Okay, so early stage, that's how it's called in the jargon.
Mm-hmm.
So the founders put their own money, or nobody put any money, but we're working it out, right?
It's very basic to the part. So what I'm saying is, do you recommend the fundraising stage is first before we even develop a website, before we even brand ourselves, before we even market the company? Is that the...
Got it. So that's what I needed to know. It's super early stage. Selling one to develop as the product is not an option, in this nearby future because you're not there yet. It's a startup.
Yeah.
Makes perfect sense. So here's what I would say about fundraising. And again, remember, I'm not an expert on any field other than being an expert on being a Bedouin in the desert, and I advise startups. So that's the legitimacy of my answer. But here's what I would do based on my experience. And it goes back to thinking like a business unit. You are not fundraising from the investors to build your company. You are selling to the investors something that they should want to buy. And you need to understand what do they want to buy. The first thing you need to do, which has nothing to do with Corona, it was, most people failed with that even before Corona, is understand that the investors are startups themselves. Venture capital is startup mode too. They have customers. They also have investors. They took money from, the banks on Wall Street or CalPERS in California or the big wealthy family through the hedge fund or whatever it is. They took money for 7 years. They need to find companies that they can scale and sell so there will be an exit so that they'll make money and can give back the money to their investors plus ROI. That's what they sell. You are the product that they want to get to sell to their customers. And you need to understand that. And what you need to do is the same thing that I told Avi to do. You need to understand which investors do you want that are also a good fit for you. And you need to go and understand where are they right now. Some of them are very active. Some of them dried up. By the way, some of them, they work in gaps of 7 years. So I'm going to take it that you know a little bit about VC. If I'm a VC and I took your money for 7 years, it matters a lot if I have 6 years more to go for the fund or 1 year more to go for the fund. If I just fundraised for a new fund as the VC, I need to find good investments quickly. But if I'm at year 4, 5, or 6, or 7, probably I already invested the money and I'm just sitting on the board managing the companies that I invested. And right now I'm trying to save my investments from not dying through Corona.
Mm-hmm.
What you need to do is go to the VC websites. It's really hard. Get outside of yourself. Get outside of your current situation. Look at the VCs you're trying to approach and try to understand. It's called market research. Where are they right now? Usually they talk about it online. They announce when they start a new fund. And look for the ones that are not only the ones you want, but also ones that could potentially want you realistically and that have active funds. The second thing that you need to do is approach them and ask smart questions that build a relationship, not tell them, here's our pitch deck.
Okay.
And I know that was a little bit high up there. I want to give you a more concrete way of doing that. VCs are like Yantes, they like to talk and they like to gossip about startups. They all meet together and they're all friends. They invest together in many ways. I mean, it's a small swamp internationally, and it's also a small swamp here in Israel. What I would do is reach out to those investors and not ask to pitch to them. Ask for the advice. And actually, I'm going to post a video about this, I think, tomorrow, about, what's the right way to storytell that. And it's absolutely the opposite of the problem or solution, the technology, the business model, the market, competition, the team, traction, boom, 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 sales, sales, sales. And all they want to do is go to WhatsApp because they go deep. What you should do instead that, many people in common, Moshe told you something about them, find a personal connection, and you just want to talk, and you want to ask for their advice. As you're approaching others and you're moving forward, probably, I don't know if we're a right fit for your fund, but we follow a lot of the companies that you did invest in, and we know some of them. We would really appreciate your advice. Here's our story. Here's where we are right now. Here's what we're trying to do. What do you think, Mr. Angel?
Mm-hmm.
And then the meeting, which is 25 minutes on Zoom, is not 20 minutes you talking and then 5 minutes they're trying to understand what's going on. Then the meeting is 5 minutes you're talking and conversation.
Mm-hmm. And do you think this should all be done once a product has already been established, or can this be done in the preliminary stages?
I would start right away. Always get feedback from the market. Right now, your market is investors. I would want to say, probably, I want to challenge that assumption. I would say go and speak to your potential competition. I would say go and speak to your potential customers 3 years from now that you don't have a product for them now, but you want to talk to them. There's a startups I once worked with a little bit, and at some point I told them, guys, listen, if you have the opportunity to fundraise $500,000 from an investor, or get a pilot with a paying pilot with a customer for $50,000. Your initial assumption is to take the $500,000 from the investor. But actually, if you can, it depends on the situation, which we don't have time to go into the details. If you can allow yourself to take the 50,000 with the pilot, take the 50,000. Because a successful pilot with a paying customer will bring more than the 500K. But the 500K will not necessarily bring the 50,000K or the 50K with the customer.
Okay.
I would say take that deliberation to the meeting with the potential investors. What do you think we should do, Mr. Investor?
Make them feel special.
Make them lean into you, drive them into your world. Don't punch them with sales.
Got it. That was helpful.
I guess you're doing an internship, right?
No, I'm trying to start my own company.
Oh, okay. So there you have. That's what I would do.
Yeah.
A lot of virtual coffee meetings on Zoom. A lot.
And to find these investors, you just go online, or any outlets you would recommend?
Look, I want to move on to other questions, but it also depends. Maybe you should work for the customer for 2 years, really understand the customer, and then go and develop the startup. I don't know. I don't know you well enough. It really depends on the details. But my understanding is you're a business. You're a business, and you're trying to develop the startup. The first thing you have is you. You need to sell you to people, the customer or the investor or whoever that is.
Okay. Thank you.
But again, more on that is online. Next question, please. Thank you, Grant, for the question.
I have a question.
Yes, Natalie.
Hi, I'm Natalie. I'm from LA. I've been living here for a while. Where do you identify opportunities, tech and industries other than telemedicine and Zoom?
I'm going to approach it from a different level. I'm going to come out from the other side of the universe, okay? Forget the short term. Short term, you need to get a job, you need to pay rent, understood. That job will not really impact your career in 50 years as much as you think. Okay, so it's not like chess or, letters and snakes or whatever, that every move, defines the entire, it's not like that. You're navigating and you can always go back and change. Very low correlation between the next job and your overall career path. My question is, in 10 years, where do you want to see yourself? And here's where the opportunity. If you find people that you want to work for, if you find companies that you want to work for, not because it makes sense to work for them now. That's an employee thinking. Think about where you want to take your life's work to. And find the top 10 companies you really want to work for. Meaning, and this is all online too. If you don't find it, it's called Don't Look for a Job, BizDev. There's more than one video about it. There's the blog post, whatever. What are the 10 companies I really want to work for the rest of my life? If everyone is paying the same, if everyone is paying the same salary, and everyone is offering me the same amount of success, and no matter which way I go, I will get 78, 84% success. And happiness. And if I take all the parts of the equation and I fix them so they become constants, and the one variable that I pick, the nerdy example, the only variable that I keep to play in this function is, what do I want to do in my job? Because everybody pays the same. All the jobs are the same. CEO of Microsoft and teaching kids, in the kindergarten is the same. Same salary, same reputation. My mom will be proud the same way, all the same. Where will I be happy? And give me those 10 top companies. And then we're going to list them on Excel. This is very tachlis. You open Excel. Column A is called name of company. The name of the company. Company name, company name, company name, company name. Column B, this side or this side, I don't know where you're looking. So this is column A. Column B is called my why. If anybody here doesn't know Simon Sinek, start with why. The one thing you're going to rush and do after this webinar is go and watch Simon Sinek Start with Why, the TED Talk, or the 10 other million videos online, whatever. Start with why. So here's how I use Simon Sinek's start with why. Name of company, great. My why. Why do I want to work there if everything else is the same anywhere else? It's because I love the product. It's because I love the culture of that place. It's because I love the founder because she's a hero and she's, you know, a rock star and I want to be like her. I want to learn from her. It's, you know, the team, the people over there. It's whatever it is. You better be an emotional reason because everything else is the same. My why. Column C is their why. Why should they hire someone like you? You're from LA. Are they selling in LA? Because you want to be a lawyer maybe, but you could help with the marketing. So think like a business unit. The lawyer sells legal advisory. But if the lawyer could bring a customer to his or her customer, the lawyer should bring the customer. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
Think in terms of where can I add value and how can I deliver that value? And let's see who are these companies that I can do that for, that I want to do it for. And then when you have the company name and your why and their why, look for the right decision maker. If you want to work for this company and you're going to go to LinkedIn and you're going to look at the employees and you're going to see Michelle from HR. Probably she's not the right decision maker, although she's HR. Probably the head of the legal department is the right decision maker. Build a relationship with her. That's the opportunity right now. And from that matter, every market is an opportunity because this has less to do with how should I react to Corona in the short term, running my career as a business, and has more to do with forget the here and now. How do I make sure I'm still on my path to where I want to get in 10 years? Because now you have a higher chance to actually build a relationship with those decision makers. The day they come back to work, they're going to be busy as hell. They're not going to reply to so many messages from strangers. Right now, they do more of that. That's why this is an opportunity right now.
All right, thank you.
The one thing I will say more, there were a few webinars I did in the past few weeks, one for Masa, one for Innovation Experience Israel. So those two are also online. In one of those webinars, yeah, maybe it was one of the others, but in one of those webinars, someone asked a similar question and we got into more details. So look it up, and if not, you know, shoot me a message because there's more over there. But I want to move to the next question. Okay, so first of all, I think it was Jackie who participated in the Masa webinar that asked a similar question. I think there's the full webinar and there's just the part of his question and my answer. I think it, you know, resonates with that. So again, I'm offering a perspective here, right? So that's my perspective. There's a reason why I feel comfortable offering you that perspective for the new world of work. So I'm going to share my screen just for a second to connect to the answer. You see the PowerPoint?
Yeah.
All right, great. So I want to get to here, yada, yada, the new world of work. Punchline for all business units. What does that mean? And I wanted to get to this. Can you see me on the side? Can you see me here too, or just the screen?
Yeah, we see both.
Okay, great. So here's the thing. Employee perspective. Here's the job description. Here's what they want me to do. Here's how much they pay. This is the input that they're willing to give me. Should I buy or not buy? Should I take the offer or not take the offer? Because I am a customer. I want to buy a job. I want to buy career. I want to consume because I was taught to consume for life. That's the matrix. That's false. And even if you take the job, here's what's going to happen. They pay me X to do Y. Well, I'm going to minimize efforts in order to get to Y to keep them happy. And if they give me more X, I'll give more Y. I mean, pay me more to work more because, you know, I'm the employee. No. You're not the customer here. You're a business unit. They are the customer. You're selling them you. The way to look at it is not they're going to give me input in order to produce an output. They are interested in this output being produced. Okay? They are willing to invest this amount of input. By definition, you need to understand that the output has to be bigger than the input. If you manufacture a value of $100, you cannot be paid $100. Some employees have this false idea of, I want to get paid what I'm worth. You will never get paid what you're worth. I don't charge what I'm worth, because if I charge what I'm worth, the other side has zero value. So I need to understand by definition that they need to make money on me. If I produce 100, I can expect 80, but I can't expect 100, let alone 110. So the employee mindset said, give me more input, I will give you more output. Convince me. Give me a promotion or I leave. Think like a customer. That's going to be hard to do in the post-corona world. It was hard before then, but corona is taking the inevitable and pushes that to the present. Here's a business unit perspective. You're interested in that output. By definition, it means that it is my incentive to charge less of the actual output. I want to make sure that there's a delta for you to win with, but I don't want to minimize the input so that the gap will be bigger for you. What I want to do is increase the output. If I increase more output, I can charge more input because I produced more for you. And that's where the opportunity is. My prediction is that a lot of people are going to be very disappointed with getting back to normal. A lot of people will not get back to normal. In a way, understanding that now is your opportunity. Because you could go to companies you want to work for. And again, I can't repeat this enough. Go to the companies you actually want to work for. They're not hiring right now. And you need to understand that the CEO has no idea what he or she is going to need in August. What you want to do is plant a seed that you're the kind of employee that they want to have. And you can help them because you're from LA. And you can help them because you work for the competition. And you reached out to them. And you say, you ask smart questions. And maybe the opportunity will be revealed in 2 years. You're still interested in it because this is for life. This is a company I want to grow with for my career, not just the next job. And that will give them a bigger reason to communicate with you so that in August, when they're going to need to start and structure job descriptions, your name is going to pop up. I'm speaking in headlines, guys, because a lot of this is online. So what I want to do, and it's not a big secret here, I want to send you to look it up. Hopefully you'll find it. And if not, send me a question and I'll reply. I reply fast. Operator, this is control. Do you read? Operator over.
Copy. Do we have,
all right.
Is that it? We're done?
Can I ask
a
one
few
question?
people submitted 2 or 3 questions before the webinar started, and I just wanted to give them the respect and answer really quickly.
Okay.
Or you guys have to rush?
Some of the questions were answered already that were on the
Yeah,
sheet.
Haiwa was just saying something. Haiwa.
Yeah, it's on the slide, the sheet.
Okay,
The question.
some new questions here. So just because, I took a few notes, so I already gave you guys the lawyer's example. Don't look for a job, biz dev. You should also look for a job, but looking for a job is in the world of jobs. Doing business development as me incorporated is for your career. Separate the long term from the short term. The 3-column table, I touched upon it. Name of company, my why, their why, and communicate both whys when you communicate to them. Storytelling and relationships. So again, don't go for the sell, go for the advice. Don't ask for a job, ask for advice. How do you believe someone like me should get a job in a company like yours, you or your customers? Because I'm in Ole Hadash and blah, blah, blah. What is your best advice for me? There's a reason you want to do it. When they give you an advice, they want the advice to work. So yes, only 1 in 100 that actually give you an offer because it was by mere chance you fell right in that crack. 99 out of 100, they're going to give you a good advice because it was a good conversation that got them to lean forward and not go defense because you were conversive. And then they're going to give you an advice. And then you're going to email them 2 weeks later saying, hey, Joe, thank you so much for the advice. I took it seriously. I got to say, it worked a little bit here. I actually get a phone call with this company. But you know what? With that part, it didn't really work. Maybe I didn't understand correctly. Could you please explain if that's what you meant? They're going to reply to that email because nobody wants to be the person who gave a bad advice. And that's how you keep building a relationship with them. After the third time, they're going to say, Danny, tell me, remember you told me Moshe is looking to hire someone that knows perfect English, but is here. I have a CV of someone to send him. Take this CV and send it to Moshe, tell him it came from me. That's what's going to happen eventually with some of them. So I hope that makes sense. Again, all of that online. So do smart storytelling. Corona time is your opportunity because people reply more than before. It will not stay like that forever. Just wrapping up, so we spoke about thinking like a business unit. It's all online, outputs and inputs. Talk with companies you want to work for. When you're there and emails and phone calls and Zooms, talk about why do they want to hire someone to do X, Y, and Z? What is important for them? What counts as success? Ask those questions that they teach you to ask as consultants. Do it for you. You're the consultant as an employee. The margin between the output and the input is on you. The way to get promoted, especially in the post-corona world, now you have a huge opportunity for those of you who are working, or even better, you're staying at home in chalat, in unpaid leave. Now is your time to come to the employer, the customer, and increase the value. Take a risk, write the work plan for how to restart the marketing the day after corona. Write it now. Don't ask for pay for this. Put a plan on the table and say, that's my plan. I want to execute it. Boom, you got promoted because you came with an actual plan, which now you have time to write. Nobody's writing a plan for the CEO now. So that void is your opportunity. Increase the output, you could get more input, but it has to be a real output that they actually care about. Not I rearrange the entire Excel sheet, pay me more. Nobody cares about that Excel sheet. So I hope that makes sense. Increase the output, ask for more input. I'm going to stop right here because I want to respect your time, unless you want to wrap up, operator.
Thank you so much, Assaf, for coming on. I'm sorry for harassing you for the past few months, but it was definitely worthwhile. Yeah, could we send out your email so people could, be in touch with you and reach out to you with any further questions?
So be smart. You want to reach out to me and really get me to reply to you, you can send an email and I'll reply. I promise you that. But if you ask publicly on LinkedIn, boy, am I going to be happy and answer more. Because people who follow me will see it.
Okay, great. So we're going to link
tell you what to do, but I want to give you ideas of, how to stimulate people you want to react to you.
Perfect. So we're going to send out your LinkedIn, your social media. Thank you again. This was really insightful, and I'm sure everyone was a bit inspired to get themselves moving in this complicated time. We really appreciate your time, especially at such an hour. And we really look forward to, hopefully you'll be seeing some of our faces in the future. And thank you so much.
And I just want to also add a few words. First of all, you were not harassing me. You were development. You're growing up. I'm building a relationship. That's number one. Number two, me and Tamid, we go way back. I used to employ Tamid consultants with some of the companies I work for. I used to hire people from the fellowship during summer. So I know what Tamid is, and I know that you guys are IDC. By the way, I'm speaking to you from WeWork in Herzliya, so I'm not that far away. If I was to do this from the porch of my apartment, I could really shout to you from the porch and you would hear it if you live in the dorms. Never mind that. If you want to ask more intimate questions, go to my website, submit something, it gets to my mailbox. I'll reply. I'll be happy to help each and every one of you. All of you are basically all, student olim, right? Correct me if I'm wrong.
It's about Chetzi. We have
about Chetzi. Okay. All of you are international young professional talents here in Israel. Whether you want to get accepted to an MBA in New York, or you want to get a job here, or in Japan, or it doesn't matter. Guys, this disruption right now is your opportunity, but you have to be proactive. And now more than before, the more you think of yourself like a business unit and in business terms, the better and more likely you are to advance in the on-demand economy. So you could hide from the wave or you could surf it. My advice is to surf it because it's a 40 years journey from Egypt to the promised land. You don't want to get lost in the desert walking in circles. And I am here to help the desert. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You guys could all
stay safe and healthy.
Thank you.
And keep on rocking in the free world.
Thank you.
Assaf.